So we return now to offer some light and hope and guidance to the poor souls on Reddit over at the Am I the Asshole forum. These are people who suspect, that they might be assholes.
But the world needs assholes.
They're curious if they're assholes, but they're not sure. So they go to Reddit and they ask these questions. They pose these quandaries, and I will read some of them and we'll try to lend a little bit of clarity. So we'll start here. Am I the asshole for Venmo requesting money from a Tinder date after he crapped in my car? All right, now we're getting into the nitty-gritty here. A couple weeks ago, I, 19-year-old female, went on a Tinder date with a guy who I knew from high school. We were mutual acquaintances before this, and when we matched on Tinder, we agreed to meet up. Picked him up at 7, and we went and got some food. After that, we drove to some secluded place so we could talk with extra privacy, leave it up to the imagination. Anyway, around 10:30, he starts to complain about his stomach hurting. I asked him if he wants to leave, and he says no, and kind of blows it off for a little bit. Around 11, he says he really needs to use the bathroom. I wasn't sure what to do because we were in a very secluded area, and I wasn't familiar with. He tells me that there's a gas station about 15 minutes away from us and asks me to step on it. I leave and drive as fast as I can, but it's very dark. I don't know my way around, and he's becoming more frantic, visibly sweating, breathing heavy. At one point, I ask if I should pull over because going in the woods is better than nothing, but he swears he could make it. Unfortunately, he misses telling me to take a turn somewhere, and we get lost. I have to turn around, and it's probably like 10 more minutes, according to him. Then he gets very pale and yells at me to pull over, and I stop as fast as I can. But when I do, he doesn't get out of the car. He just sits very resigned. At that point, I understood it was too late. I came to understand it was too late. I wonder how you understood that. We both sat there in silence for a little bit. I really wasn't sure what to say to make him feel better. Oh man, this is a nightmare. And I was also feeling a little sick from the whole thing. Parentheses, the smell. Thank you for clarifying that because I wouldn't have known. Eventually, I just offered to take him home and tried to act nonchalant. Try to act nonchalant while this guy's sitting in his own shit, Just be cool about it. He agreed, so I drove us home. He also tells me that he will reimburse me for getting my car cleaned. I felt bad because, of course, it wasn't his fault. Accidents happen, so I offered to split the cost 50-50, and we never talk about it again. I also told him if he wants, I'd like to try a second date. Wow. You are either very forgiving or have very low standards, or both. Since this one turned out not so well, he thanked me and we parted ways. I got my car detailed and sent him a text letting him know everything went well, but I didn't get a response. I waited for another week and tried texting him again, like, hey, did you see my text? And again, he didn't respond. I went on Tinder to try and message him there, but I saw he had unmatched me. It was pretty clear that he had ghosted me. I was pretty pissed, not gonna lie, because I thought I was chill about the whole situation. It's cool if he didn't want to see me again, but he could have still kept up his end of the deal. I went looking for his Instagram to try and message him there, and when I see he had his Venmo in his bio, I decided to Venmo request. In the description, I put the poop emoji, the pointed finger, and my car. Communicating now in hieroglyphics, because regular communication hasn't worked. Surprisingly, I get a quick response. He sends the money, but he also texts me pissed because he said his friends would be able to see what I put and would probably put 2 and 2 together. I told him I wouldn't have done that if he hadn't ghosted me. Am I the asshole? Okay, wow. That was a story. First of all, this is what you get for having the girl drive.
Thanks, asshole.
It's one of the many reasons why you as the man should be taking control of the situation. If you are the one who's driving, then you would have more control of the situation. This probably wouldn't happen. But beyond that, I'm not really sure. I'm kind of torn on this. Who's the asshole in the story? I mean, there's definitely one asshole in the story, a very active one.
You're a sick asshole.
But beyond that particular asshole, I mean, I can't blame you for not wanting to have to foot the bill to clean the shit stains in your car. But at the same time, I can't really blame the other guy for hiding away in shame. It's hard for me to blame him for that part of it. What else are you going to do? I mean, you texted him and said everything, you texted him and said, after you got the car cleaned, you texted him and said, everything went well. Went well with cleaning his shit from your upholstery. How do you even respond to that as the guy?
You insensitive asshole.
What's he supposed to say? Thumbs up emoji, smiley face. Cool. Congrats on cleaning up my shit. So there's no good answer here. And this is also, here's another thing. This is why, I'm so glad that I'm married. So that I can shit in my car without judgment. Also, because if you're married and you're in that situation, and we've all been in situations, like that when you're in the car. There's a little bit of a bathroom emergency. But if you're married, now you can have an honest conversation in a situation like that. You could just say, when you're dating, right, and you just met this person or you're going on your first date, you don't want to be honest about it. And so that's when the crisis starts. But when you're married, you'll just say, listen, I'm going to shit my pants if you don't find me a bathroom within 5 minutes. All right. So who's the asshole? I guess it's got to be him. He is the guy who shit in your car after all. If you feel like you aren't getting the respect you deserve in life, well, I've got a solution for you. Established Titles is your opportunity to earn the title of Lord or Lady and gain the respect you deserve. All you need is a 1 square foot plot of land in Scotland. In your title pack, you'll receive at least 1 square foot of dedicated land on a private estate and an official certificate with a crest. Your certificate will include a unique plot number with which you can see the exact location of your land. These title packs are a fantastic gift and the best way to surprise your loved ones, from girlfriends to boyfriends or even family. You could even get a couple pack for you and your partner where you can get adjoining plots of land. Well, with this certificate, you could officially change your name to Lord or Lady and get it on your credit card, your plane ticket, etc. Established Titles is having a great extended New Year's sale. So go to establishedtitles.com/Matt Walsh to save 10% off today. And remember to use the discount code Matt Walsh or just click the link below. That's establishedtitles.com/Matt Walsh or just click the link below. All right, finally, well, 2 more here, I think. Let's see. My daughter came out as transgender a few years ago, and for her birthday this year, we legally changed her first name to a feminine name of her choosing. My wife and I have always supported her in her transition, but my daughter seemed disappointed that her surname wasn't also changed. I am Icelandic American. If you don't know, surnames are quite different than in other countries. One's surname is their father's first name and a suffix related to their gender. The son of Jokul would be Jokulson, and the daughter of Jokul would be Jokuldóttir. When my American wife and I married, she took my last name per American custom and gave that same masculine surname to our daughter when she was born. All of us have the same masculine last name. My daughter wishes to change her surname to Jokuldóttir in order to align with her gender expression as well as Icelandic naming customs. I hadn't considered this for her as we live in the United States and use the local customs. My wife and I are on the fence about changing her legal name again, as processes like this are very expensive and time-consuming. I told her that her mother and I would be more than happy to help with the paperwork if she paid for the processing. Our daughter doesn't accept our reasoning and claims that we're only contributing to her existing dysphoria by not going through the process again. So am I the asshole for making my transgender daughter pay for her own surname change? No, absolutely not. You are not the asshole for that. You are the asshole for everything else in this story.
What an asshole!
Starting with the fact that you were supportive of your son pretending to be a girl. So your son, and did you say how old your son is? Oh, 17. Okay. Your son has 2 problems here, and this is your son we're dealing with. Your son is a self-entitled narcissist, demanding, you have to pay for everything or my dysphoria is going to be worse. This is emotional blackmail. And this is in gender ideology, it's very common. This is one of, the propagandists that foist this stuff on kids. They encourage this kind of emotional blackmail. Oh, to get everything you want, just tell your loved ones that, you're gonna have dysphoria and you'll be in emotional pain if they don't do literally everything you want. So this is self-entitled narcissism, and it's also, a certain element of just sincere confusion as well. And you as the parent, as the adult, you're supposed to be a voice of reason. You're supposed to be a clarifying presence. And by supporting your son in his delusions, his narcissism, his confusion, you are dooming him to a life of despair. And that's what makes you an asshole. All right, finally, am I the asshole for calling the police on my fiance? My fiance, 28 male, and I, 30 female, have been together for 3 years. I used to live close to work and use public transportation, but after I moved in to his house, which is hours away from work, I bought myself a car since I'm a nurse, and also since there isn't any hospitals close to where we live that I could transfer to. One thing about these things is that all of these people are assholes for giving way too much information. We don't need any of this background.
Still going, this asshole.
Let's just get to the story, please. My fiance's car hasn't been able to work for close to 2 months now. It requires so much money to get it fixed, and he refused my financial help when I offered it. Instead, he would ask to use my car every now and then, and I agreed as long as it's when I'm not working, and also since he only uses it for trips to the supermarket, etc. On New Year's Eve, he told me he wanted to use my car to go hang out with his friends and celebrate, but I declined because I had to cover a night shift and needed my car to travel to work. He insisted and even suggested that I take the night off or swap shifts. with another nurse, but I couldn't do that at the last minute. Oh my gosh. Okay, blah, blah, blah. Fast forwarding, she doesn't want to give the car up, and he decides to take it anyway without asking her, and he drives off to go to his New Year's party. She tries to call him and can't get a hold of him, and then finally does talk to him 30 minutes later, and she's pissed, so she calls the cops to report him for stealing the car. Okay, and now he's mad. Are you the asshole for that? But he also says that he can take the car, and she shouldn't have called the police because they're engaged, and so he says, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. Who's the asshole? Well, he's obviously the asshole.
You asshole!
He did steal the car. You told him not to. You asked him to bring it back. He didn't bring it back. You called the police. That's probably farther than I would have taken it, but I think it's justified. But here's the main point. No, it's not true that as an engaged couple, what's yours is mine, what's mine is yours. That's not true. That's marriage. So you don't get to take advantage of that before the marriage even happens. There isn't like this grace period ahead of time. That's in marriage. That's, again, the point of marriage. Now you share everything. And then now it's the family car, and if your spouse calls the police on you for taking the family car, even if they don't agree with what you're doing with it, then that's a different story. So get married is the moral of the story. And then you can steal your spouse's car all you want. And even in it if you want.